Grab some coffee, a Mountain Dew, maybe both. A storm is brewing. The Brainstorm. Welcome to the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike.
Hey, welcome to the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Here on our show, we use our experience to help you progress your organization forward while possibly avoiding some roadblocks. Hopefully, right? I mean, that's why we do our show. Just really talk about building your business and help you just progress it. Our experience with hundreds and hundreds of clients and strategies that we've come across is really help us. It helps us help you, really. That's from what movie was that?
You talking Jerry Maguire, man?
Jerry Maguire, man. I watched that movie the other day. How much does the human head weigh, by the way?
Yeah, like 8 pounds.
Like 8 pounds. That was a great movie. But all of the young people that's listening to our show right now are like, what in the world are you guys?
I barely know what you're talking about. Just a little bit.
Jared, yeah.
I know Jerry Maguire. I don't know the line, but yeah.
Yeah, they don't even know what we're talking about. It just completely goes over us. Hey, today we love bringing guests on our show, and today we have some special guests. Obviously, you just heard from Jared. Jared's one of them. Mike, introduce our guest for us, man.
Yeah, so we'll start with Jared. So we got Jared Clary. He's one of our marketing strategists here at Splash Omnimedia, and he also serves in a special role within the Columbia Chamber of Commerce here in South Carolina, which he'll share a little bit about in a moment. But we also have Carl Blackstone, President and CEO of the Columbia Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, guys. Carl, do you mind sharing a little bit about your background with us?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me today. You know, I'm a transplant, like many folks in South Carolina. I moved to South Carolina to go to college down in Charleston. I went to the College of Charleston, and I graduated down there and have stayed pretty much in South Carolina since. And so it took. I was working in Charleston for a long time out of school, and needed a job and got a job in Columbia. And so I moved about almost 20 years ago to Columbia. For the longest time, I was a State House guy. I worked up at the State House for almost 15 years, 14 years or so, and came over to the Columbia Chamber right 6 years ago. So it's been a blast. But so from North Carolina, moved south to South Carolina, but this is home.
To the better Carolina.
Absolutely.
The better Carolina.
Yeah. So Jared serves, and again, in a special role within the Chamber. Talk about that role, Jared.
So I'm the chair of the Small Business Council at the Columbia Chamber, basically connecting small businesses, business executives, business owners, helping them get integrated into the Chamber and how to add value to their business.
So what does that look like?
Understanding the different programs that the Chamber has to offer, how they can get involved, understanding their business and how maybe their time might be better spent at certain events or on certain committees, and how can they get connected and maximize their partnership.
Yeah.
You know, Jared, let me jump in real quick. Jared, in the Small Business Council chair role and being a marketing strategist here, you're primarily dealing with, I'm assuming, privately owned entities in the small business world, right?
Correct.
So how are you using from a strategist perspective, using that type of background to help small businesses at the chamber level?
Well, typically, so from a strategist perspective, every day talking to business owners, business executives about how they can grow their business, typically through marketing. And well, the chamber is the same thing, but instead of through digital marketing or other specific marketing tactics, is how can you maximize your partnership and grow your business through the chamber. So instead of talking different marketing strategies, it's different strategies within the chamber. Should you be involved in the Small Business Council, or should you be involved in public policy, or where is your time best spent, and how can you maximize that partnership?
No, Carl, I interrupted you. I didn't mean to do that. Go ahead.
No, I think Jared hit well. I think if you're an individual company, if you look at the marketplace as a whole, the Columbia MSA or the Greater Midlands, however you want to describe it, we got a lot of big companies, but we also have got a ton of small businesses. And so you hear it all the time that small business makes the world go round. It's the primary bread and butter for any community is small business. And so making sure we have a dynamic, prosperous small business community is important. But it's not, people think that it's just all big business. It really is not. We do have a good-sized companies located within the region, but the primary focus of any group really should be focused on that small business sector. But those guys are often working all the time. They're burning the candle, and they don't know how to get involved. They don't know what to do. They don't know they only know what they know, right? I mean, they know their business and typically the peripheral of that, but they don't necessarily understand the marketing techniques or how to relate to other businesses. More importantly, how do you do business with other businesses?
Right.
And so those are issues that we really want the Small Business Council to work on, but also engagement, and that's a big piece of it.
So you have obviously the larger enterprises, and then you have your small business, and then you have nonprofits, and then probably some government entities that are members. So talk about kind of the difference in what a business is looking for. Like, what are they actually seeking by joining the chamber at different business levels?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that we get often. And we try to, in a simple way, we try to put it in two different buckets, right? Mm-hmm. You've got companies that want something from us, and then some companies that want something through us. Mm-hmm. So the bigger companies, they've got tons of people working for them, tons of employees, and they've got outreach folks, and they got marketing folks, and whatever they need, right? They can afford it. The small business guy, they really can't do that. So they're looking to us to be the conduit for them. So whether it's helping them on a public policy matter at the State House or at City Hall or through the county, whether it's providing that B2B business-to-business networking opportunity that we have all the time, whether it's to just learn and figure out how to do business within local government. What is there are a lot of different communities that make up the Midlands. All of them have different ordinances and different structures and red tape, if you want to call it. And so there's a maze that we can help guide people through, as well as provide resources and give them context. If they're looking for a reference or they're looking for a point of contact within another business, that's what we're here for. So it really is, depending on the size of the business, do you want something from us or do you want something through us? But it's important that, because they're both equally as important, right? We need big businesses and we also need the small business. So recognizing from a business perspective, that the chamber needs to represent both. We can't just be all small business. We can't all just be big business.
Right.
But finding that blend. So we offer different levels, if you will, and provide different marketing opportunities, business after hours. We call it partner
engagement.
Thank you, partner engagements. And up until COVID hit, we were doing those pretty regularly.
Right.
But it's a way of just creating a business, an environment where businesses can really grow. That's our mission.
What would you say the percentage is between big business and small business as far as membership goes in your chamber?
By far and away is the small business folks. And if given a number, it's probably 70-30.
Okay.
So,
what's defined as a small business from a local perspective? And I know on a national level, small business is anything below 500 employees. To me, that's a big business.
That's a huge business here too. Most of the businesses that we have between 10 and 15 employees.
Okay, yeah.
So it's really small.
Yeah. Okay. That's good information. That really should help our listeners and our viewers kind of better understand at least the dynamic, the makeup of the chamber. Who they can meet there at the chamber when they're going to different functions and events. And so just especially on the B2B side, because you said a minute, those partner engagements on the B2B, I know we've been to a lot of them.
That's right.
Gary goes to all of them. And so I really enjoy those. Back when we could actually get together and handshake.
Right.
Now it's an elbow tap or a fist bump or whatever the case may be.
Or Zoom meeting.
You and I have taught marketing strategy 15 or 20 years now, Mike, and that puts us at around 15 years of age or something.
Right.
And one thing that we've always said in the most simplistic form possible is you're either moving your business forward or you're watching it slide backwards.
That's right.
Right? And so talk to us a little bit about that. And I know you had some questions for our guests there.
Yeah, Matt, I wholly agree with what you just said. I mean, you're either growing or you're sliding, and growth is the only guarantee for a better tomorrow. So one of those things that we reinforce beyond marketing, of course, and great branding, is that folks, especially in the local market, get really engaged in their associations, especially their local chamber of commerce. And so the chamber can really add a lot of value to you. Every chamber is a little different. They may have a little bit different vision. They may have different set of membership and kind of what their overall purpose is. But we have Carl here. He is the CEO and president of the Columbia Chamber of Commerce. And we got Jared. He serves as the Small Business Council chair. And we'd love to talk to you guys a little bit about what Columbia Chamber does for its members.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having us. I mean, the Columbia Chamber was created in 1902, so we're almost 113 years old.
Wow. And you've been there the whole
17
time?
years, whatever the math is.
And you founded it, right? You're the founder?
Yeah,
You found it?
yeah. I've been here 6 years, but our goal really is to make Columbia a better place to do business. And so it's broad in its statement, but the reality is more is better. And as you're talking about, it makes me think of Jack Welch, the former CEO of GE, says, if the outside world changes faster than the inside world, the end is near. And so I think that brings home, if you're not changing the way you're doing business, if you're not thinking about growth, you're going backwards. So I think that's a true testament there. What we're trying to do is really on a couple different fronts. One, we want more local businesses doing business with other local businesses, but we also have to have an environment where businesses can really grow. And with as many political jurisdictions as we have, it's a lot of work to try to keep, whether it's Richland County or Lexington County, the school districts, the cities, all thinking about ways to do things easier for business. Some jurisdictions do a better job of that than others, quite frankly. But we've got some challenges on that end. I mean, Columbia is the city of Columbia and Richland County being a capital city. Capital cities are unique across the country, and you look at growth in the upstate and low country, and we say, why can't we have that? Our environment's different. We do have tons of government, which is a great thing. It helps cushion us in a downturn. We have between City of Columbia and state government, Fort Jackson, the largest training base. There are a lot of jobs associated with government, which is a good thing. What we are trying to do is really engage that private sector market to really to try to grow. And we've not grown as fast as others. We're still growing, which is good, but we could do a better job. So our primary issue, what we're really working on at the Chamber is, hey, what are the fundamentals of a good economy across the Southeast? And how can we do a better job of making sure we're growing like our peers?
Awesome. Jared, can you share a little bit about the Small Business Council and kind of what it's doing to engage its members, how that's going, what's coming?
So just like everybody, we've had to drop back and punt, pivot, whatever term you want to use for COVID. But typically we have the Small Business Council, which has a small business breakout every month. And then also the Northeast Connection out in Northeast Columbia, which is just the Northeast branch of the Chamber, trying to engage businesses out there. Since COVID, we have combined those into a monthly virtual meeting to just try and connect and keep partners engaged and understand that we can still leverage resources in each other to help grow business and keep things going while we're still all in this crazy time. But I think one of the main focuses on Small Business Council is how do we add value to every business from multiple facets. So whether you're a solopreneur and you need resources and you need to understand how to grow your business, or if you're business to business and you need to connect and you want to expand your network as much as possible. That's what we focus on as a council, is how do we add value to every sector of business, and how can we bring them on to be able to hear them and reach more people and get more people involved.
That makes a lot of sense. So, we believe iron sharpens iron.
Right.
And so especially in that small business world where they don't have as many resources as our larger, friends that have larger businesses that they're, representing. And so having that iron sharpening iron approach where they can come together and learn from each other, sometimes pool resources, share ideas. And I think you guys, you use the term pivot. I think y'all have done an excellent job continuing, especially that small business, member. I see y'all serving them well by having a lot of these Zoom meetings, virtual meetings, and trying to engage them and keep them still connected with each other.
Right.
Well, we're trying. I tell you what, I'm kind of ready for this COVID thing to be over with. I know we all are. So not just speaking for myself, but we're ready for the more getting back together in in-person meetings. But for the next few weeks, months, we're going to continue the virtual stuff as much as possible. So we welcome everybody to join us for that. Head to our website, www.columbiachamber.com. We'd love to have you.
Yeah. One of the things that you said a few minutes ago, Carl, was excellent. I haven't really thought about it in the perspective that you gave it. You said that all your members either want something from you or through you. That's a really good perspective to look at it from a member type of thing, because you are right. Everybody wants to use you as a resource of some sort, right? Okay. Whether it's from you directly or through you. And so with that being said, we've talked a lot about business types, right? From the Small Business Council, Jared, through some large business mention that you gave us. So it doesn't matter if you're $200,000 a year or $2 million a year or $2 billion a year. There's something that either can come from you or through you to help those. Tell me about or help me understand how does the benefits differ from different types of organizations? Like, give me an example of some benefits for the 200,000 versus the 2 million versus the 2 billion when you're talking about from you or through you.
Sure. I mean, from a smaller business perspective, if it's networking, if it's just making contacts on a government issue that they're having, whether red tape, that we can help at least guide them through that. Medium-sized companies, it's connecting with larger companies. It's making that personal. In South Carolina, we laugh because we know somebody from every city and town in South Carolina.
Right.
South Carolina is all relationships, right? It's the most unique state in the country because everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody's looking for a personal reference. They're looking for a person to talk to, and it's unique to us. And so, but relationships are important in this state, in this community, and so we help connect folks in that regard. We're conveners as well. I mean, that we connect, we convene, and those are buzzwords, if you will, but they also mean something. I mean, if it's connecting business to business, if it's connecting a person to another person for business purposes, so we do that. The larger businesses are looking for us to help them with making good, sound business decisions on the political side.
Okay.
Making sure that our taxes and our cost of doing business stay as low as possible.
Okay.
Those are not always easy issues and
Right.
a little polarizing in some
Right.
ways, but equally as important, because if you're a corporate America, your folks from out of state are looking at you and say, why is the cost of doing business higher here possibly? What's causing this? So making sure that we can keep costs contained and business is about profitability, and we've got to make sure that the business environment itself is conducive to bringing more jobs and making people more money.
So you're talking economic development, trying to attract industry into your market and making sure that it's attractive for them.
Yeah, it's important. If you're looking at relocating your business, there are a few things you're going to look at, right? I mean, you're going to look at education for your kids and the executives that come into their kids. You're going to look at crime. You're going to look at the overall tax structure, those things. Overall, there's not one single thing. It's like a big soup, and every piece is important. But there are a lot of issues that go into relocation, and we've got to spend some time there making sure it's not just in a political jurisdiction. It's across the board. The Midlands makes up a lot of territory, and so no company is looking to come into one. They're not looking at Springdale or Forest Acres or Columbia or Lexington. They're looking at the region, and so looking at those numbers matter.
Yeah, I know that Splash Omnimedia, one of our brands, has been a member of the Columbia Chamber for quite some time, and we've seen backdated before you joined the chamber. We've seen a lot of changes since you've joined, and prior to that, And one thing you said earlier is that the outside is changing faster than the inside, and the end is near. That's a good statement because we've seen we've seen the chamber pivot over the years. We've seen the chamber make the modifications, and it's really good from a member perspective to know that the chamber has that insight. And so I know that there's a number of chambers around here that we really enjoy being part of the Columbia Chamber. One of the things that I know that all of our listeners or viewers are thinking about, because it's almost impossible not to think about it, is COVID-19. Now, you can have completely different views on it, but you're thinking about it, right? So you can be thinking that that you're tired of it. You can be thinking about it, wow, this is really serious. You can be thinking about, hey, I'm just tired of hearing about it, but you're still thinking about it in some way, right? Well, the chamber is too. And so are small businesses. And so are businesses that are actually out there trying to survive and create more business for them. And so you have to think about it no matter what you're doing or what position you're in. And so, Carl, I wanted to come back to you when it comes to COVID-19. I know that the chamber historically has been an event-based type of organization. All chambers are, because people like to get together and meet each other and network and earn referrals from each other and just understand what's going on. When you're talking policy, people like to get together in front of a committee and talk policy. So no matter what it is, it's really heavily, rooted into events. How is the chamber kind of navigating the event world while being in this unknown COVID-19 scenario?
Well, it's such an adjustment, right? I mean, thank goodness we were talking about this a little earlier, but thank goodness it happened today versus 5 years ago or 10 years ago. The technology, the capacity we have today is unbelievable. And so, we're been playing on all the different platforms, whether it's Zoom or Teams or WebEx or GoToMeetings. I mean, I got them all now, right?
Yeah.
But we
named the popular four. Probably.
Yeah, and there's Blue Jeans and all these Skype and all these others that are popping up. I tell you what, whoever can come out of this with a platform that has security and ease of use is going to be printing money here soon. But the chambers had to pivot as well, and we're looking at those platforms. One, because at least we do get to stay connected and we get to share information. It really started when back in March things started shutting down. But things were changing so fast. I mean, every day, what happened one day was not happen the next day. Right.
Yeah.
And so it was a way for us to make sure we kept our partners apprised of what was going on, who was closed, and what was the new norm for that day. And so we needed a platform, and emails get just sluggish, right? And so, but having that back and forth to be able to answer questions. And so we started doing Zoom calls and brought in experts, whether it was the legal field or accounting field or whatever, to help get through the PPE or the PPP, the CARES Act, learning more about PPE. There were lots of different discussions that we wanted to have with folks. And a lot of our partners were giving us feedbacks and, hey, we need information. Can you provide that to us? And so it was out of a response to our partners to say, look, let's figure out a way to try this in a different format. Yes, we're not going to meet person to person right now.
Right.
But that still doesn't preclude you from getting the information. You got to have, to run your business, you got to know what's going on. And so that's part of our role.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good information. I know that, here in the Midlands, well, you would know better than me, Carl, but I know here in the Midlands we have at least 4, maybe 5 different chamber. How many chambers are here? Is there 4 or 5? Or
well, within the
more?
Midlands, there's about 14, but that
goes. I was way off.
But that goes, but you're more locally. But if you go to Orangeburg and Newberry, Blythewood, West Columbia, Casey, Irmo, Lexington, Kershaw, Calhoun.
So there's like 14 chambers.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. But we all work together. And then there's the state chamber as well.
Right.
And if you think about it, the state chamber is thinking through a lens of just statewide issues. Like how does business or impact on a statewide level? And you've got a West Columbia and Irmo, they're thinking about their local, and I call those retail chambers. I mean, they do a great job representing their neck of the woods. The Columbia Chamber is more of a regional chamber that we're dealing with things that follow basically the Columbia MSA. the metropolitan statistical area. And so that's about a 35-mile radius is our reach.
Okay.
So we try not to step on toes. I actually talk to the local chambers all the time.
Right.
And we invite them to our events and vice versa. So
I can see how you would participate very easily, especially when it comes to like what are you doing right now during COVID, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we need each other. And it's important. I think so if the locals are on a 5,000 foot level, we may be on a 15,000 foot level, and the state chamber is about a 30,000 foot level.
Right.
And when we kind of stay in our lanes, but we all spend a lot of time helping each other and making sure that we share resources and
Right.
share thoughts, because it does take a community. It's a community-wide effort, and so we appreciate their partnership with us.
Well, that does kind of bring into focus 14 chambers within a 35-mile radius is what you're saying. And if that's the case, how many chambers can a business join? And which chamber is best for a business to join, right? We have chambers calling on us, then you have trade associations, you have all types of membership organizations that are all pulling on the same clientele, if you will, or prospective member base. And so I know just from I can't speak for everybody, obviously. I can only speak on behalf of our brands. And so we've chosen to definitely invest heavily in the Columbia Chamber of Commerce. And I say invest on all three levels, which I always use time, effort, and money, right? And so the Columbia Chamber is we're having you on the show only because it's important to have people on the show, and we have other chambers on the show we're not necessarily a member of, but we invest a lot of time, effort, money. Jared invests a lot of time and effort, right? And so he has a second full-time job. One job
That's exactly
is a
right.
marketing strategist with Splash, and then the other job is the chair of that. Mike and I invest more from a money perspective, and then all of us from just a time perspective because we go to it. But we have so much time, so much money, and so much effort we can give. So how would you, and this is probably a really hard question to answer, and it might not be any type of scientific data that you would be able to give us, but how do you explain when someone comes up to you and says, okay, which chamber should I join? Or have you even had that question?
Oh, yeah, we get that all the time. But I think it's important to figure out everybody needs to have a strategy, right? I mean, what do you need?
Amen.
Right.
Repeat that for me.
Everybody needs a strategy. and so with that, even if it's going to an after hours or you need to go in with an idea of, yes, I'm going to have a few conversations, but I want a few business cards. I want to get a prospect lead tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe one, maybe two, whatever it is. But you got to go in with the mindset that this is work. Yes, it's fun, and we try to have a good time, but it's business. And so, but with that, to answer your question, there are a lot of opportunities. Whether it's one of the small regional chambers, if it's or small retail chambers, or our chamber. It's what are you trying to do, and where's your company located? Where are you a small business that only deals within a 3-mile radius of where you work or you live? Maybe a regional chamber is not your best place to go. Maybe that small retail chamber is the right place for you. If you have a broader mix, if you're in multiple jurisdictions, hey, come take a look at us and see what you got. But local chambers exist for a good reason,
right?
And ours too, by the way. But it needs to be right, and so we call it a partnership because when we partner with a company, they're investing time, they're investing money. We are too, but it's got to work for both of us,
right?
And if it doesn't work, then let's say, hey, let's try something else. But it's important to go in and be self-aware, but also we got to meet expectations. But you got to go in with the expectation that your business can grow, but you got to put the time and you got to put the effort into it.
Well, I definitely agree with everything you said, but there's
Absolutely.
one thing specifically. I love the word strategy. Mike, you and I talk about that on every single show that we've ever done, and we'll always talk about on every single show. But you are right, because every single thing you do is a strategy within the overarching strategy of your marketing plan, right? They all have micro strategies in there, and the chamber is certainly one of them. I love what you were saying and the direction you were going of going in with a plan. I'm going to get a couple of business cards, and then you're going to follow up with them, right? And then you're going to put them, Mike, in a marketing automation drip campaign, and then so on and so forth, right? You're going to cultivate it and farm it. And that's you absolutely have to have strategy. Even if you're talking to people that's not necessarily a prospective client, but they could be a prospective referral source for you.
Right.
And you could be a prospective client of theirs. If you want to receive, you must give first, right?
That's
and
right.
that definitely is something. Is that right, Jared?
Yes,
Going
sir.
into year two.
Year two.
And man, we're really proud of Jared with all of the effort that he's giving, the time he's given the chamber. Hopefully the chamber is proud to have Jared on staff. If they're not, just don't say anything to us.
We
And,
appreciate
At least not right now.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all giving us the time, his time.
Yeah.
To it really does help.
And we just love being a partner of the chamber. I know that we sponsor the golf tournament. We sponsor a lot of events, and so we love our sponsorship and partnership with the chamber, and we'll continue to do so. Carl, during break we were talking about policy, and we know that, and some of our listeners are business owners and business executives. We know that sometimes the chamber has to take a stance when it comes to policies and processes and even some laws that are being passed and ordinances in different communities, business communities. How does the chamber decide on which stance to take and when to take a stance and those types of things?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, and one that we deal with a lot and wrestle with a lot, quite frankly. When we're looking at public policy decisions, we have to look at it through the lens of, does this help or hurt the business community as a whole? I may disagree with the issue I have a slant on something, but it
Right.
really boils down to what is going to help further grow business in this community. And so we do have a committee, the public policy committee, that vets all our issues, and then it goes up to our executive board. But the idea is that let's get as many eyes on this as possible. Let's make the case, right? What's the pros, what's the cons? And, some, at the end of the day, we decide not to take a position. But most things, if it comes to that point, we'll jump in. And the reason is somebody's got to. And no one else is going to if we don't. And so I think it's important that we create our evergreen list of issues that we have, right?
Okay.
So we have it's a process, and we don't really get into the politics of the day. If we can say this is a good position, whether it's talking about lower taxes, if it's talking about education, if it's talking about you name it. If it's good for business, then we need to speak up, and a lot
I
of
agree
that.
with that, no doubt.
But we got to put it on paper, and we got to make sure
Vet it
that
out, map
that's
it out, make sure the stance is right.
Well, having
There's a lot of things that look really attractive, and when you uncover it, it's not all that attractive.
the devil's in the
anymore,
details.
right?
So
Yes.
if I've learned anything working at the State House is all issues are cyclical. They'll come back in some form, maybe not the exact same form, but in 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, they'll come back. And so it's important that we are consistent in what we decide to do, but we also keep a record. And so we can come back, and if we need to pivot, we need to change positions, then here are the reasons why we've got to change gears. And then we got to communicate it, right? We got to go back to the partnership and say, hey, look, this was the decision we made 5 years ago. Here's what we're going to do today. Or going forward, here's what we need to be doing to make sure that we're looking out for the best interests of our partners.
One of the things that we were also talking about is just erring on the side of job creation. I think that's so vital, and I've been there. Listen, I watch way too much news sometimes. Mike's told me that, and so I get caught up in the emotions of me taking a stance, if you will, a personal stance. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the chamber, when it comes to business, you have to err on the side of job creation, because one thing is absolutely for sure: when an organization comes in, no matter what their benefits they're receiving in comparison to your benefits as a business owner or a business executive, if jobs are being created, then that means more homes are being purchased. That means more restaurants are being patronized. You have all kinds of benefits economically that's taking place because the job creation. And when you have more people coming in, and more jobs created, what do you need? You need more businesses to serve them.
That's right.
You need more small businesses like plumbers and HVAC and electricians and roofers and builders, and you need more big business to use electricity and cable television and Wi-Fi and you see, I'm just going with all the things that I'm aware of, but I'm sure there's a lot.
Well, no, you hit most of them, I think. But success does breed success, and the more that we can see businesses grow, and that's not just bringing in new business, but we need homegrown businesses.
That's right.
And that's where our bread and butter is going to be in the next 20 years. Is not recruiting industry from the outside.
Right.
Is actually having homegrown businesses get bigger.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that South Carolina actually needs help with. And we've got to look at incentives to help existing industry. The days of, we call it buffalo hunting or elephant hunting, the big BMWs and the Volvos coming, they're not, the next 4 or 5 years are not going to be as friendly to us anymore.
As it has, right.
And so, because of the global marketplace. But we've got to incentivize companies that are here. They're paying taxes. They're employing folks in this region. Their kids go to school here. We need those kids to stay here. We need them to work. And so we've got to pivot a little bit as well and work with our General Assembly to make sure that the incentives for existing industry are there, that not all monies are going to bring in new people. But that takes a little bit of time and some creativity and finding out how we identify those companies that can grow. But there's great success stories all around here of companies that just started from scratch in a garage in the backyard and have really done well. I mean, look at here.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Splash.
It's interesting that you bring that up. You know, it's common in a lot of industries, a lot of businesses. They focus on incentivizing the new customer, the new business to move in would be the customer for the state or the area, instead of looking at the existing ones who have been loyal, who have grown, who have continued to conduct business, have job creation. It's like, how do you resource them and continue to add value to them? Because a lot of those small businesses, if they just had a few resources, whether that's monetary resources or information resources or a network, some connections, government contracts, whatever it is, could really ascend and go to that next level and continue to close the gap where we're not so dependent on attracting people from the outside. Grow from the inside out.
That's right. No, the homegrown businesses are where we're going to prosper, and we got great stories here in this region.
Great people, great stories, great
Sornax, and you've got Diesel laptops, and you've got great companies that came out of overnight successes, 20-year overnight successes, right?
Yeah.
I love those stories, but we need to celebrate those and really give shout outs to those folks that have took the chance to start a business and really ground it out. I mean, because it's hard. It's not easy.
Our listeners and viewers, apply what Carl and Mike was just saying to your business. Don't ignore your current client base. Don't ignore the people that has come in and purchased from you and paid you money to do services or products or whatever the case may be. Don't always just be looking for new clients when you have plenty of clients. All you have to do is communicate with, and we have plenty of tactics to help you do that. Jared, what's coming up in the near future for the Small Business Council that you want some viewers to hear?
We have our July breakout scheduled for July 21st. It's Tuesday. You can go to columbiachamber.com or the Chamber's Facebook page to get some more information to register. And what we're trying to do is just get back to what the Chamber does best, and that's connect people with the people that you need to connect with, or if it's resources, or how to get information on government contracts, or how can you grow your business. Whatever that looks like, it looks like something different for each business, but we'll be back together July 21st. That's a Tuesday morning. So check out the Chamber Facebook page or columbiachamber.com for some more information.
And that'll be a Zoom meeting? Or?
It'll be a virtual Zoom meeting. We'll have just different kind of icebreaker questions, figure out how to connect on a one-to-one basis. On an overall basis, we typically have anywhere from 40 to 60, 70 people on the small business virtual breakout. So we just try and figure out how we can connect each other and serve each other best.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this: we've had a really good time on this show. I always love getting in front of Carl and Jared just to talk about what's going on in the Chamber. We invest a lot of time, money, and effort in the Chamber, and the Chamber is very, very beneficial for us. our clients and all of the business community within this region. Out of the 14 chambers that are around here, we certainly love the Columbia Chamber. We would ask you to take a look at the Columbia Chamber. Give them an opportunity to earn your business. But here's the deal. What you put in it is what you're going to get out of it. So if all you do is write them a check and you never show up again, that's about the same amount as what you're going to get out of it, right? And so anytime you're going to invest, actually participate, show up, be present, and you'll earn rewards from that. Thanks for joining us today on the Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Until next time, have a great, productive, and profitable week.